the way, it doesn't excuse terrorism. Obviously, it doesn't excuse terrorism. It doesn't excuse this to happen. But like, if you're in one of these countries and your family got displaced, yeah, I wouldn't like Britain either.
Slaughtered neighborhoods that had coexisted for centuries turned on each other overnight. It became one of the biggest and bloodiest migrations in human history, with over 1 million people dead.
Wow.
That trauma didn't just vanish. It turned into resentment. The cracks only got deeper. One of the biggest cracks of paradise called Kashmir.
Why aren't they mad at Britain? Because I feel like Britain is the one that did this, not even Pakistan and India.
Kashmir was, and still is, one of the most breathtaking places in the world. Snow-capped peaks, peaceful lakes, lush green valleys, a literal heaven on earth. But politically, it's been a hell. When the British left, they gave over 560 princely states like Kashmir a choice. Join India, join Pakistan, or stay independent. The ruler of Kashmir, Maharaj. Just like that, the first Indo-Pak War began. That war in 1948 with a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations.
And also, it doesn't mean Pakistan is like, look, it doesn't mean Pakistan is good. Like, obviously, these people are, they're awful terrorists, right? That are like going in here and killing like civilians. Yeah, not everybody in Pakistan, obviously. Before I try to take that out of context again. But like the people that are going in and forcing these military insurgency groups, they're awful people. They're terrible. They're terrorists. Of course. But if you can't see the downstream effect of this nation building and imperialism and how this creates these structural problems, I don't know what to tell you. Two things can be wrong at the same time. And like, do you know what I'm saying? Not just Britain. Do you know how like I've criticized like Hassan, for example, for not being able to like acknowledge that, you know, there are bad actors on both sides? I think that we're doing the same thing by not acknowledging that Britain was also a bad actor in this situation as well. I do. I think we're doing the same thing. We shouldn't do that. Look, here's my point. I think that the amount of imperialism and the amount of oversight that foreign countries do on countries that do not have the same race, culture, traditions, or religion as them, forcing their will on these countries, I think this is a
Good
about
morning,
East
friends.
Pakistan, where India supported the independence
भाई
movement that
आईफोन से लाइव
eventually
आ रहा हूँ।
created
हाँ, मैं आईफोन से ही
Bangladesh.
लाइव आ रहा हूँ।
1999, Kargil War. Pakistani soldiers and militants,
know about this.
disguised as locals, infiltrated Indian territory in the Kargil region. India launched a massive counterattack operation and pushed them back.
Wow.
In each of these wars, India emerged stronger militarily. But the cycle of hatred and mistrust never broke. And when war didn't work, Pakistan tried something else. By the early 2000s, a new kind of war had begun. A shadow war. Terrorism became the weapon of choice.
It does seem like, I mean, again, this video could be biased, but from this, the way the video is prescribing this, it seems like Pakistan is the aggressor in
Hello,
every
good
single one of
friend.
these
You from?
instances.
I'm from
That they're the
India.
ones that are starting it, every single one.
Instead of soldiers crossing the borders with tanks, militants
The
crossed
video could be biased. It's important to keep in mind.
quietly with backpacks, guns, and suicide vests. Attacks on civilians
Classic.
became a tool to destabilize India, especially in Kashmir. One of the most horrific examples, Mumbai, 26/11. On the night of November 26, 2008, 10 terrorists from Pakistan arrived by boat on the shores of Mumbai, armed with AK-47s, grenades, and explosives. They split into teams and launched simultaneous attacks across the city. The Taj Mahal
Wow.
Hotel, the Oberoi Trident
Holy shit.
Hotel, Cafe Leopold, a Jewish community center, Shivaji train station. For nearly 60 hours, Mumbai turned into a war zone. More than 170 people died,
Jesus
including
Christ.
American, Israeli, and British citizens. Over 300 were injured. The
You no reply, भैया. Hello, सुरेश पटेल. Hello.
only surviving attacker, Ajmal Kasab, was captured alive. His interrogation revealed detailed planning and training, all traced back to Pakistan-based
I'm from UP. And you?
That's
terrible
brutal.
Lashkar-e-Taiba. In came Pulwama in 2019. A suicide bomber rammed a vehicle full of explosives into a convoy of Indian paramilitary forces.
So it's just every time, I mean, why can't Pakistan keep these people under control?
I'm from बादल. मेघालय.
Yeah, I don't get it. Video's probably biased, but from my knowledge of the situation, Pakistan is more of an incentive to be aggressive than India. Video's biased? You think video's biased? Or
In Pulwama district, Kashmir, 40 soldiers were killed instantly. It was the deadliest attack on Indian security forces in decades. The terror group, Jaish-e-Mohammed, based in Pakistan, claimed responsibility. India's response? Swift and bold. In the early hours of February 26, 2018, Indian Air Force jets crossed the border and bombed a terror training camp in Palakkad, Pakistan.
Got
This
him.
was
Iron Mandal. Hi, bye. Hello.
was unprecedented. The first airstrike on Pakistani soil since 1971. Pakistan responded by sending its own jets, leading to a
short but intense dogfight, one Indian pilot, Inhanandan Varthaman, was captured.
You Hindi language? Yes. हिंदी आती है.
But returned 2 days later as a peace gesture. The world watched nervously.
That's good.
Two nuclear-armed nations, one spark away from disaster. But the situation de-escalated.
That's nice.
Still, the attackers never fully stopped. Cross-border terrorism continued. Sleeper cells were busted. Indian security forces worked round the clock to prevent further strikes. But everything changed on April 22nd, 2025.
So this is the shit that just happened.
With a horrifying
Okay, here we go.
in Pahalgam, Kashmir. The scenic town
It
of
was like 2 or 3
Pahalgam,
weeks ago, yeah.
nestled in the Kashmir Valley, is known for its tranquil beauty, horse rides through pine forest and peaceful rivers. Every year, it's a draw in thousands of tourists from across the country and abroad. But that day became a killing field. Tourists, like always, had arrived to enjoy the mountains. Vehicles can't go deep into the region, so most visitors hop on horseback and local guides to explore. Among them was a woman from central India, accompanied by her husband. Their horse guide chatted with them, but something about him was off.
Okay.
He wasn't just asking friendly touristy questions. He started probing. Where are you from? Have you read the Quran?
Oh my god. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here it is. Alright, yeah, I didn't see any of this at all. Holy shit. Shit, man.
Are you Hindu or Muslim? The woman tried to brush it off, but then she heard him whisper on a call.
Wait, so they just okay.
Go with Plan B. Guns are in place.
Panic surged through her veins. She discreetly messaged India's intelligence team, a hotline most tourists wouldn't even know about. But before the agency could act, it was already
They're all
too
dead.
late. Around 6 to 7 armed men dressed like locals suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Not military
Why?
uniforms, civilian clothes, horses, and hidden weapons.
Yeah, sure.
But what they carried wasn't small arms. It was full-blown automatic weapons. They started pulling terrorists off horses, shouting at them, "Are you Hindu or Muslim? If Muslim, read the Quran. If not, they opened fire. Bullets flew in all directions. Screams echoed through the... The attackers
You know.
women, children, or elderly, anyone
Wow.
who couldn't answer in the way they wanted
5
was
मिनट
shot.
में बैठे हो बांग्ला हुसैन इसके
"26 innocent tourists died on the spot. One woman lost her husband right in front of her eyes. Through She shouted at the attackers, "You killed him? Kill me too!" But the response was chilling. One of the terrorists sneered and said, "No, go tell your prime minister what happened today." And then he laughed. A laugh that still...
Well, didn't they just get bombed yesterday? So that would really, that didn't really work out too well for them, did it? Yeah.
rings in the ears of many Indians who heard her testimony.
They
The
want
country
war? You think so?
erupted in grief, and then in fury. Across social media,
Yeah, I
protests,
bet.
news channels, there was only one question. How long will we tolerate this? This wasn't just a terror attack. This was psychological warfare. A brutal reminder. Terrorism in Kashmir isn't gone. It's just evolved. And once again, all eyes turn toward Pakistan. Because here's the truth. Attacks like these aren't random. They don't come out of nowhere. These are trained operatives, supplied, funded, and sheltered, not by rogue street gangs, but by organized networks, many of which have found safe havens across the border. India's intelligence agencies...
That's insane, man. Like, it's hard to know, like I said before, right? It's always hard to know, like, if this kind of stuff is biased or not. But, I don't know what to say. It keeps saying this was in the same thing with a different name. Not every Muslim is a terrorist. I mean, obviously, like, look, religious extremism is bad no matter what you're doing, right? I mean, like, I don't know why it's hard to understand. Like, this is my stance on it. All religious extremism is bad. Any group that uses their religion to be violent to civilians and commit terrorist activities, I think should be completely annihilated. That's why I pay my taxes to the military. That's what I want the military to do.
Hello, Dada.
So that's it, right? I mean,
Hi.
and so like doesn't matter. Is it disproportionately affecting one religion or another? It doesn't matter. Even if it only affects one religion, it doesn't matter because it's the action that's the problem, not the religion.
began tracing the attackers' origins. Early reports suggested ties to a radicalized splinter group operating out of Pakistan, administered Kashmir. The government didn't realize all the details, but what came out was enough. And India's response? It wasn't immediate missiles or strikes. It was something smarter. Enter the water war. Let's rewind to the 1960s for a moment. India and Pakistan signed the Indus Waters Treaty, brokered by the World Bank. Under it, Pakistan would get unrestricted access to the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab rivers. India would control the Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej. This was meant to prevent disputes over water, a resource both countries rely on heavily. Of course. But post-Pahalgam, India began with...
It's crazy how I can see why they're fighting over this shit. This looks really nice. Oh my god, that looks amazing. Bro, like that's out of a video game.
Post-Pahalgam, India began reviewing the treaty, and in a bold but silent move, India started diverting excess water that traditionally flowed into Pakistan. Not cutting off water, but minimizing the outflow legally within treaty terms. It was a message. You keep sending terror, we'll stop sending rivers. In agriculture-dependent Pakistan, where 70% of the water comes from these rivers, this hit hard. The government issued press releases, held emergency meetings, and called it a violation. But legally, India hadn't broken anything. It had simply stopped playing nice. Meanwhile, back at the line of control, things got hotter, literally. Small gunfire exchanges began almost...
I mean, like, this is kind of how I see something like that. Is like, I think cutting off their water supply is fucking awful, right? It is. But I think that what they're saying is, like, in the same way that the Pakistani government, they think it's probably playing stupid with these terrorist organizations, they're going to play stupid with the treaty as well. I think that seems like kind of what's going on.
Daily reports
that's what they think is happening.
of drone intrusions, sniper activity, and unmanned surveillance aircrafts being taken down. But that wasn't all. For the first time in over a year, Indian Air Force fighter jets began routine patrols across northern air zones, especially near the borders. Troop movement increased. Tanks were spotted near forward bases. Special forces began training drills close to the border.
Wow.
This wasn't war, but it wasn't peace either. Pakistan, already reeling from an economic crisis, a falling currency, and skyrocketing inflation, suddenly had to prepare for something it wasn't ready for: escalation. While Indian military analysts discussed precision response and surgical strikes, Pakistani generals were seen holding late-night emergency meetings. And the civilians? They were lining up for basic groceries. As flour prices doubled and fuel became scarce, public trust in the government hit rock bottom. But did that stop the military elite? Not really. Pakistan's leadership has often operated with the mindset of strategic depth, keeping the India conflict alive to justify its military control over internal affairs. But this time, with international pressure building and their economy in free fall, their bluff might just be called.
Wow.
At this moment, India hasn't launched a full-blown military strike, but the chessboard is set. Tensions are the highest they've been in years.
It's crazy that both of these countries have nukes too, which is what's nuts.
Are alert. Borders are
that's a
hot.
whole lot.
Diplomats are working overtime, and across both countries, citizens are wondering, is this the...
Two minutes ago, India launches missile attack on Pakistan. India has attacked Pakistan. Oh my God. This is literally happening right now. 2 minutes ago. Wow.
और उनके सऊदी अरेबिया के मंत्री भी यहाँ पर आए हैं, जरूर पाकिस्तान ने इनको रिक्वेस्ट किया होगा, क्योंकि इस समय डरे हुए हैं। इनको अपनी ताकत और हमारी ताकत के विषय में मालूम है कि ये लड़ाई नहीं कर सकते किसी भी हालत में। पहले वो गीदड़ धमकी देते रहते थे। हमें भी अपना इकोनॉमी को डेवलप करना है। हमने जो मैसेज देना था वो मैसेज दे दिया, तो जो भी हमारी सरकार ठीक समझेगी करेगी। लेकिन एक बात हमें आगाह रहना चाहिए कि
which is underway right now as we speak. The pictures on our screens at this point in time, in which the government's message will be, underscoring the valor of our forces and also talking about the fact that every Indian, irrespective of the political party that they belong to, should stand united with the government on this.
Well, definitely, very clear message coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is not a part of the meeting, though there were some opposition parties, especially the Congress party. They wanted Prime Minister Modi to be also present. Prime Minister Modi is not there, but he sent out a message, a clear message that everyone needs to be united. Every citizen at this hour needs to be united, which means that the opposition parties and their leaders also need to be united. What will happen next? Because that's the big question there. A lot of people are saying, was the
चलो भाई.